You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging out with you guys. And today we have a great guest interview lined up for you guys. We have a little bit different perspective, and you might hear that the microphone on the other end has a little bit softer voice. We are going to do an interview here with a female-owned business, and that is with Cameron Errington of Maryland Roots, LLC. Cameron, welcome to the show. How are you doing this morning?
Thanks, Brian, for having me on. This is pretty cool for me, so yeah. I'm excited.
Well, I think you're like one of the second, third, or fourth only female voices on our podcast in a year. So, so we need to get some more female voices on the show because you ladies have been crushing it behind the scenes and frankly, the last couple of years taking it to the front with plenty of female-owned businesses. So this is going to be a fun show. You and I were DMing back and forth on Instagram for the last couple of weeks, and I said, "Hey, I went through your Instagram because here's what actually happened. Funny story, and you'll probably be able to ad lib a little bit. But I was answering DMs, and I said, "Awesome, bro," because you sent me something, and you said like, "Hey, it's a broette" or something like that. And and I said, "Oh, my bad." And so I went through your profile, and it's all photos of you in the trucks, and I went, "Oh, this is a female-owned business, lawn and landscape company." So why don't you get these guys up to speed for a quick minute about who you are, your story, and maybe a little 2-minute highlight reel, and then can't wait to break down your story a little bit here.
Yeah, so I'm a 24-year-old girl. I live in Valley, Maryland. It's in Southern Maryland. Started a lawn and landscaping company about 6 years ago now. I was in college and just not really knowing what to do with what I wanted to do with my life, per se. I was going to school for business, eventually got a business bachelor's degree. But I would cut grass in the summertime for people, started out using their mowers, eventually was able to get a trailer and pull around my mom's lawnmower to cut grass, pulling it behind a two-door Jeep Wrangler that I had at the time.
Sure.
And then fast forward 6 years later, I've got 2 trucks, 2 trailers, a Skag mower. I've got 2 or 3 guys that work for me kind of intermittently, and we're kind of rocking and rolling now. So I never kind of expected this is where I'd be. When I started just cutting people's grass, I really just liked driving a lawnmower. That was really all it was. And
sure. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, it's really, really cool to see women out there in the workplace. I know our friend of the show, Brittany Allman, she's always advocating, and a lot of the girls that she gets to work with as well. And I love it. I think the ladies out there, I've said this 100 times. I'll go on record 100 times. I even say this to my wife. I'm like, ladies actually care. They look at the details. they have a soft touch to the business.
Sure.
You know, and all my other lawn bro friends, all the guys, we're a little bit more square peg round hole, right?
Sure. They're both good. Both sides are good. So
absolutely,
we all need that.
Well, I'm excited about hearing the other side of the coin from a female perspective. In the industry, because it really is something that a lot of companies nowadays are really advocating for women in the workplace, which is really cool and really exciting. But I've always where we work and where we live in our area, we've seen women out in the workplace for quite a while. So I get that there's a labor shortage just from the industry, and by the way, not just our industry, but all the different trades. So a lot of folks right now are trying to reach out to the female side of the workforce and say, hey, if you don't want to be a homemaker, or if you don't want to go to corporate America, the trades are just as viable and can pay pretty well. So I'm really excited about giving you the mic, giving you the platform, and just sharing about your startup story and all this fun stuff. I think it's going to be a really fun episode here. So let's do this really quick. We're going to take a quick, the notorious sip of water, which is my brutal transition to get Marty, Mr. Producer, on the show. But we're going to hear from him, from all the show sponsors, updates, and announcements. And then we're going to come right on back and hear a little bit more of Cameron's story. So guys, hang tight, and we'll catch up with you here in just a quick second.
Hey gang, it's Marty. Let's talk about how smart Wi-Fi enabled irrigation controllers help improve life. They make system management easier, help homeowners save water, and nowadays more and more customers are wanting remote smart control meaning it's a good way to continue growing your business. Site One Landscape Supply has a new trade-in special from now right on through June the 30th, where if you bring in any old irrigation controllers to your local Site One branch, you'll receive a 15% discount on a smart Wi-Fi enabled residential irrigation controller from Rainbird, Hunter, or Irritrol. As a part of the Upgrade, Save, Recycle Controller Upgrade program, Site One is partnering with Blue Star Recyclers, a nonprofit dedicated to creating jobs for people with disabilities and keeping electronics out of landfills. Great work. This trade-in special is a fantastic upgrade for your customers, a better upsell for you, and an opportunity to support a nonprofit that is doing impactful work. Visit siteone.com/upgrade and save to see the full list of qualifying controllers, and I'll make sure that link is in the show description.
All right, good deal, guys. Well, let's just jump right back into it. Cameron, so let's just go right to you. I want to hear your story. I don't want to hog the mic at all. I love to get your perspective. So how did you get started in the industry? You said you were younger and just loved mowing grass and being outdoors. But, you know, as a young lady out there, 12, 14, 18 years old, did you see yourself cutting grass or, you know, laying pine straw and mulch for a living? Or how did you get started in the industry? That's the elephant in the room, right?
So I definitely didn't grow up saying that I wanted to be a landscaper. That was never really crossed my mind. Like I said, when I was able to start using my mom's lawnmower when I was younger, I really just loved driving it around. Mm-hmm. Like I always wanted like something like a 4-wheeler or like a go-kart or something. We had one when I was super young, and my parents actually sold it before I was old enough to drive it.
Oh no!
And that was like kind of like my next best thing was driving around a lawnmower. So I just loved it. And, so always kind of had that, in the back of my mind, but never like, oh my God, I can't make a living doing that. I wasn't at like job fairs in high school, like trying to figure out how to do it. I kind of took the narrow path, of, you know, going to college and trying to figure out what I want to do. I just majored in like general business. Worked kind of through high school. I worked for a defense contractor here. We have a naval base that kind of provides a lot of jobs in our area.
Sure,
so I did like a part-time on-call position for them, as well as working for my aunt's property management company. So I was able to, with school here at high school, you can actually get out of school early, junior and senior year, and you can either work or you can take classes at our community college and like dual enroll.
Yeah. Or
you can do both. So I chose to do both. I was on track to go play like high-level college soccer. And a lot of stuff happened in our family. My parents kind of went through a pretty nasty divorce. They separated when I was like 12 or 13. So going into high school through kind of all those pivotal years, a lot of stuff was rocked kind of in our world. So I kind of took a different path and decided that I wanted to start working. My mom was also, she went from being a stay-at-home mom of 25 years to trying to figure out at 44 what her career was going to be.
Wow.
You know, so it was just her and I at home. And, you know, my older brothers, they were in college or either out of college. You know, my sister was going off to college that summer. That kind of everything kind of took a turn. And so not saying that I stopped playing soccer because of that, but just my heart just wasn't in it anymore. I was on a club team that was about an hour and a half away from where we lived.
Sure.
Because that was where the competition was.
Sure.
So like for practice, it wasn't like you could just go down the road. It was an hour and a half commute both ways, 2-hour practice, and then come home. And then both days on the weekend. So I did that my whole life. But, you know, just with everything going on, I just decided to step away from it. Didn't want to make it harder on my mom with her trying to figure out her new career.
Right.
And she actually, she got into real estate, and she's, for lack of better words, 10, 11 years later, she's kicking ass, and she's like one of the top agents in our region and our state now. So
that's awesome.
I went from that to now she's, you know, on top of it. And that's kind of always been my like driving force. You know, just watching her kind of come up from nothing and get to that point. That's kind of always been a big thing for me. You know, it just kind of drives me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it wasn't really something, like I said, the lawn care side of it wasn't really something that I was even really thinking about in high school. I was just thinking about working and trying not to have to ask her for money and, have my own spending money and gas money. So I was doing that. And then in the summertime, I would cut grass, from people. I would use their mowers. And I would just go to their house and they would pay me whatever, mostly family and friends. Like I said, I really just enjoyed it.
Well, really quick, let me ask you this. Let's there's some stereotypes out there, right? So let's talk about like a 16-year-old girl. Most, listen, my wife's like the first real girl in my life. You know what I'm saying? So if I sound like an idiot, bear with me, but, I don't have sisters. I don't have, nieces, everything around me is male and has anyway. So it's just, but it's a funny story. At the time of this recording, we haven't told everybody what we're having yet for our baby, but I'll tell you because this podcast will come out, probably a month from now. But my wife and I are expecting our first baby girl.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're super excited, and I'm also
that's so cool.
I'm also like level 10 freaked out. You know what I mean? So so it's one of those things where I'm like I'm asking you questions not from like people skills. Let me hear your story, but no, I'm like taking notes today. You know what I'm saying? So
sure, I get it.
So because we're gonna be raising a little girl, and but to go full circle, like a lot of young girls, 16, 18, they're working at the mall, they're working at I don't know, like pizza shop, ice cream store, like the first jobs that we've all had that are all kind of crappy tweener jobs. What
right, restaurants or something.
Yeah, exactly. Hostess, all those kind of things. What kind of made you decide to go a little bit more of the entrepreneurial route versus maybe getting a little bit more of a we call it safe, secure job, right? Working as a hostess at Olive Garden or something. What was your perspective there?
Well, I did have those two jobs that I was doing part-time. But I definitely figured out there that I didn't want to sit at a desk for the rest of my life. That was just no way, shape or form something that I wanted to do.
Sure.
Very active. I wanted to, very active. I wanted to go out and try to make my own money. So kind of what started all that was, when I graduated high school, and I was still doing the same thing in the summers. I was, going and cutting people's grass. Mm-hmm. And my stepdad, now stepdad, he came kind of into our family's life at that point, and he has he's a commercial fisherman.
Okay.
So he has a big operation that he does. He crabs, he fishes, he does all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And he liked the idea that I wanted to kind of start cutting grass, like not even necessarily have a business at that point, but just like I was just making extra money. Like he appreciated that and he respected that. And at that time, he actually went to Northern Tool and got me a 5x8 utility trailer.
Yeah.
And he was like, he was like, yeah, we're going to go get this trailer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, you're not going to buy this for me. Like, oh my God. And he said, he's like, no, he said, you're going to come work for me for a couple weeks on top of everything else you're doing. And you're going to work it off, and it'll also give you some extra money, and you can get a weed eater, and you can kind of start, collecting some equipment, and you can go around and start cutting grass.
No kid. That's
so
awesome.
So I was like, oh my gosh. So I worked for him. I paid that off in like 4 or 5 days because they work really long hours. So, paid that off and then kept working for him all summer. So I was able to put my mom's mower, just a riding John Deere mower, on, that trailer and go around and do the same yards I was doing, but I could charge a little more because I had all my own stuff.
Yeah.
And then finished out that year, with that. And then, by that next year, I was still going to school full time. I'm still doing, college too, on top of all that. Mm-hmm. And then by that next spring, my stepdad, he then let me borrow a 0-turn mower that he had.
Okay.
And he was like, he said, my only deal is that you have to take up all the maintenance on it. You got to take care of it. And you have to take care of your mom's yard, and you have to take care of my yard, because at that time he still had his house.
Okay.
And he said, after that, you can go make however much money you want or however little money you want, but you have to take care of the mower.
That's a fair deal right there.
I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like freaking out. And I'm like, this is great. I can add more yards. I can, it's just going to kind of take my business to the next level. And I didn't even know I really had a business at that point.
Sure.
It was just kind of like, just doing a little bit at a time.
That's awesome.
So I used that kind of setup for a little while. I pulled it with my Jeep. And then later on that summer, I was like, all right, I need to get a truck. I need to get another vehicle. I still wanted to keep my Jeep, but I was like, I want to add another vehicle and try to, kind of try to do this a little more
professionally,
in depth.
Yeah.
And, so I already had a business name at that point. I got an LLC. I got a business name. Like, I was like, you know what? I don't know. I don't even know where this is going to go, but let me just try to do it right. And, so I got that truck. I didn't want to get a loan, because that would mean I would have to put my mom or somebody on it with me. And I just didn't want to be tied to anybody. I just wanted to try to do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that I bought the truck from was a really good family friend. He believed in me that much that he did a personal loan for me, through him, where we set it up that I would come and pay him every month. And I think it was over the course of 2 years. I think the truck was $9,000. It was 2001 Chevrolet Silverado. I still have it. It's one of my trucks that I use now. And I actually paid that truck off in 9 months in cash. And he was blown away by it, but I was just so appreciative of him. It was no interest loan, and he believed in me that I could do it. So just kind of wanted to pay that back to him as soon as I could.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Wow. Hey, I gotta jump in here really quick and ask you, because when you were going to school, you said you were going to community college for general business. Did you because now you're 24, you were saying, did you finish with a business degree, or what was the story there? Because are you still going to college? What was the answer to that one?
No, so I started right out of high school. That next fall, I started at the community college. I did 2 years there, and I got my associate's degree, and then I continued it on University of Maryland University College online.
Oh, okay.
And it took me about another 2.5 years to get it, just because I was going to school full time and growing this business full time. I was taking classes all summer long too, all winter, year round, just trying to get it done.
Sure.
And I eventually finished that up in December of 2018.
That's awesome.
So I went up to University of Maryland and went to the stage and check that box. So hopefully I never have to use it, but it's there if I need it. So
that's awesome. Well, hey, one thing I was gonna suggest, even before we hit record, was you gotta link up with Kyle and Chloe Parks and a bunch of people over there in your guys' neck of the woods. There's a really tight knit community of people over there in I don't know what you guys call it, East Coast, the Boston to Maryland, that whole coastal area, where Nick Carlson and Mulchmate are. But Kyle and Chloe Parks, they're really, really great people, young couple. Kyle's family does a lot with fishing too. So they go out to sea, and he's like, dude, we fish this, we collect this. And I'm like, holy crap. And so he's a big dreamer with boats and all that mess. And Chloe's right there working in the business with him. And so I think you guys would be friends pretty quickly. I think 2 peas in a pod there, but,
cool.
And then shout out to Sam and a bunch of other people that always listen to the show. They're always over there in Maryland area, and always support and shoot me DMs. But, so let's, as we continue this story, so now you're 24, you're at where you're at today. Do you guys do mostly maintenance? Do you guys do mostly landscaping, or what's most excited to you for work now in the field, at this stage of your business?
So we do residential and commercial mowing, and we do residential and commercial landscaping. I don't do any hardscaping, just don't know enough about it. Would love to get into it one day.
Sure.
But we mostly do started to get more into designs and installs in the last year and a half, just kind of built up a lot more confidence with it all.
Sure.
A lot of what I do is definitely self-taught. And obviously with all the resources out there now, with podcasts and YouTube and everything, I've been able to kind of just absorb everything. I'm always listening to stuff, whether it's your podcast or it's another business podcast, just constantly absorbing information. And just learning about how to even run just a small business, not necessarily a lawn care business, but just, how to work with people and do it the right way.
Sure.
So we have about 35 residential mowing customers this year. And then a couple commercial. I just picked up a big commercial complex in our area. We'll do all the mowing and all the maintenance there. And then so we do during the mowing season, we'll cut basically from Wednesday to Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
This year, I'm trying to kind of branch out and have somebody mowing all week long, so that way I can do landscaping jobs more of the week and not just Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff I really like to do. I mean, I love cutting grass and all that, but I do love, I love designing stuff, and I love kind of seeing the before and after of everything and just stepping back, and that kind of fills me up. And so
that's awesome. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: when you were deciding to, do the college route and go full time with your lawn and landscape business, or like you said, go fork in the road and go, I don't know, get a traditional business degree, so I got to work off stereotypes that I got here by me, right? Because I got a limited worldview, but a lot of the ladies here, they're engineers, they do marketing, they do nursing, teaching. What were you thinking, or what were you feeling like at 18, 19, 20 as a young lady going into the green industry versus maybe a more traditional route? Like, did you have any apprehensions? Is this the right move for me? Like, what were you thinking or feeling back then?
For sure. I mean, it's definitely very scary, especially, because, everybody in my family, my siblings, they all kind of did the traditional, go to college and get a job route. And they had that great college experience. And at one point I thought I wanted that when I was kind of like a freshman and sophomore in high school. So it was very different, for me. And, my mom's always been very supportive of whatever I wanted to do. That's cool. But, just for some people looking at the situation, it's different. It's different than what, my older siblings did. So it was definitely a concern. But everybody, believed in me and, the kind of person that I am, and was like, whatever she does, she's gonna do it right, and she's gonna do it well, and she's gonna find a way to be successful with it. So eventually, 6 years later, we've had some success in the last couple of years, and things are going well. But it was definitely scary, for sure. Kind of going into the unknown of, it's not like, I had a dad or an uncle or something that did landscaping that I was kind of, I'll just work for him in the summers, and then I'll go and hopefully one day take over the business. It wasn't anything like that. Like I never imagined, doing landscaping. But I love it. And, it's not a chore for me to go to work at all. I love what I do. I love, the challenge of it. I love figuring out things. I love learning about it all. Like, I'm okay with failing, because I know that, you're just in the process. It's really not failing. You're just learning. Yeah. And, so I've just, kind of taken that mantra with me the last several years.
Well, here's
and just like, what?
Well, here's what I wanted to hear how you felt and thought, because a lot of folks are going full time this year, and what do they say, like throwing the boats off from the dock and going into the deep water, and they're running their own thing. And I always applaud those people, give them as much encouragement as I can, and frankly, like I didn't have a choice. Like I was in the boat, and then somebody pushed my boat off the dock because I was working at True Green, and they said, "Well, you don't really work here anymore." And I said, "Well." Oh wow! So my wasn't like this heroic gladiator movie of like me like making my own way. It was like, well crap, I got to figure this out. And so I feel you when people say like they're nervous, they're anxious, they're afraid, like that land of security and familiarity. We all deal with that, and I wonder if also like with your athletic background, your sports background, if you got that competitiveness probably deep down inside you, like a lot of athletes do. So you were probably like, man, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to show these people. And I don't know if you were ever like that externally, but did you ever feel like that internally during that time?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did. And I definitely, being pushed and challenged in many different sports and at like high levels, it definitely, I always had that kind of in the back of my mind. And, I was never, like I said, I was never exposed to anything like what I'm doing. Right. It was mainly just sports and school, and, that was it. And we had a great family life at home, obviously until everything kind of fell out, but, I never thought about that. And, looking back on it, when I knew that I was coming on your podcast, I was kind of like looking back, and I'm like, God, what was I even thinking that I was going to do? Like before I did this, like I knew I was going to go to college, but it wasn't like I was like, oh, I want to go and I want to be an accountant, or I want to go and I want to be on a sports radio show, or I want to go be a journalist, or anything. Like just nothing. It was always just, I'll just get a business degree and, just get a job and nothing really exciting. And then, I'm glad I definitely didn't go that route.
I've said this on previous shows, and if you guys are just tuning into the show and you guys are a new listener, like, hey, welcome to the jungle. But on old podcasts, I've always said, like, but why wasn't there somebody when I was 16, from a career counselor or the school counselor? They always say, like, what do you want to do? And I'm like,
sure.
I'm 16. I don't know. And they're like, well, you're going to be in life what you think about the most. And I'm like, great. I'm going to be a girl or a beer bottle. It's like that's because when you're a 16-year-old boy, that's all you think about. You know what I'm saying? And,
right.
But nobody, that's an old dad joke, by the way. But, I got all these dad jokes. I'm getting ready, So, but the funny thing is, like, nobody said, like, how do you want to live? And that was like the mic drop moment that I heard somebody say 10 years ago. I was listening to a motivational dude on a podcast or YouTube video, and he said, if it would be really nice if our counselors and the people of position in our life would stop asking the youth, like, what do you want to do, and start asking them, how do they want to live? Because exactly. I think if we did that, we could work backwards and put people in better positions and make people, happier. Because again, something that you said earlier, I just really quick circle back on was the co-op thing at school. I would have been a great candidate for that, my junior and senior year, because I was done with school. Like my GPA went from like 3.8s, 3.3s, 3.5s to 2.2s. And I was like, I'm like, dude, I'm out of here. Like, I'm not going to college. I don't want to do that. And it was like the cool thing, because every day at school at, 11:30, the co-op students would get to leave. So I was like, well, dude, where are you going? Well, I'm going to like the technical school to go learn automotive or whatever. Sure. And those kids were literally like, they weren't like made fun of, but they're kind of like the automotive, the mechanic kids, maybe the kids that didn't have the best prospects. But you look back on it, and I always wonder, I'm like, hey, some of those kids are probably making $100,000 a year doing welding and HVAC. And they were like laughed and ridiculed by societal standards. And this is 17 at a college, or at a high school.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It always gets me thinking. I'm like, man, like, why didn't anybody just have a conversation with me and say, hey, dude, you're bored here. Let's go co-op. Let's go do some internships at some different places of work. Cause I just wanted to hustle. I just wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to make money. And I feel like some of the stuff you were alluding to is kind of in that same, breath.
Yeah.
Sure. And by the way, I can't talk about soccer, or can't mention soccer without still throwing a jab at my younger brother who quit. I don't know. Have you heard this story about my younger brother or no?
No.
Okay. So funny story. Long story short, my younger brother was my first employee, and we still talk about this every day. Like I need to get him on the show. But he was my first employee. I was 19, 20 with my business, and I was paying him like $10 an hour. And in the short story long, one day we're cutting grass in the trailer parks where we grew up, and he's like, dude, I got to get running. And I'm like, what do you mean you got to get running? He's like, I'm done. I'm done working for the day. It's 2:00. And I go, why are you done working? And he goes, because the FIFA Cup is on. And I said, I'm sorry, what? And I knew what it was, but I'm like, and he goes, well, I got to watch FIFA Cup. He goes, it's 2 p.m. here, but it's 8 p.m. In the UK. He goes, I'm out. Right. I'm done. I'm like, what do you mean you're done? You're done to go watch soccer? I'm like, we have 5 more lawns to cut. He goes, no, you have 5 more lawns to cut. I'm going to go watch soccer.
Oh my gosh.
It's so, as another fellow soccer fan out there, there's like few and far in between of us, so we got to stick together.
Right,
but my younger brother quit to go watch the FIFA Cup, 15 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
And so
I never let him live that down.
I don't. I literally, every time we go to dinner, he goes, what are you going to pay me $4 an hour? I go, you were making $10 back like 20 years ago, dude. You were living the dream. And then the old joke is like, I fired him. He's like, you can't fire me because I quit. And I said, well, you can't quit because I'm going to go tell mom. So
my God.
That's the sibling. You said you got brothers or sisters, and so
yeah.
You know how this goes. But so that's my funny soccer story. It's just for any of you guys out there that have brothers or sisters, or you try to hire them and or hire family and they don't show up, or they're lazy, or maybe it's tough. So hey, here's really quick. Let's do this. I want to just kind of change it up here. I'm gonna get a sip of water here. And we're going to touch base again with the show sponsors and show notes and hear just some of the updates from Marty. But I want to come on back and hear a little bit more about how you're running the business. Because you're not just a 24-year-old single girl out there, slinging mulch. You got a couple people working for you. I want to hear how you're getting customers, and I'm sure there's sometimes some surprise when you show up to the property and not a dude named Cameron.
Right.
So let's do this really quick. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come right on back and hear a little bit more from your story.
Are you a landscape contractor? Handle all your to-dos in seconds with SiteOne.com. Now you can place orders from anywhere, available for pickup or delivery. Access personalized pricing and check the inventory at your local SiteOne branch anytime. With tools like these always at your fingertips, getting more out of every workday is as simple as click, click, done. Get your account today at SiteOne.com.
Lawns, lessons, and life. This is the Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast. Now, your host, Brian Fullerton.
All right, guys. So let's just jump right back into it. So, Cameron, I want to hear your story about, right now, like what's work look like when you're doing bids and estimates and running the show? What's the current crew look like? I think you were joking earlier before we hit record, and I said you have to share that story. That when you sometimes show up to somebody's property, they're like, well, so like where's the foreman, or where's the guy, or where's the and you're like, hey, it's me, ding dong. So what is that experience like as a female running her own business?
Yeah, so it's funny, like when people call, I'll answer the phone and say, hi, this is Cameron. And they'll be like, I'm looking for the landscaping company. And I'm like, yes, this is my own work. This is Cameron. How can I help you? And so they're kind of like, oh, okay. And, especially if they don't know me, if it's somebody who just finds us on Google or, just on Facebook or something, they don't know who I am.
Sure.
They just know the company. And the stereotype is that, typically it's a guy running it. So I get it.
Right.
And I honestly, I don't know how I would feel either if a 24-year-old girl got out at my house and was like, I'm going to go and I'm going to bid on this $3,000 landscaping job. I would be like, am I getting punked, or is this real?
Sure. Sure.
So, people will call and I'll go and I'll go give them a quote. And like I said, I'll get out and, I definitely get the question of, is this your company? And I have to give them some background on me. And I say, yep, this is my company. And here you can go look at our website and our Facebook page or Instagram page, just to give references of jobs we've done. And, and they appreciate that. And I definitely don't take on any jobs that I don't think that I can do. I'm definitely the first one to say, no, we don't do that. Or,
right.
No, I don't feel comfortable doing that, but here's some other subcontractors that you can call that I work with, and they do great work. And, because I want to be professional, and I want to be honest, and I want to be, I want to hold my reputation. I hold my reputation to a high standard.
Oh, good. Sure.
And, when you're self-employed, that's kind of how you have to be. You have to be humble, and you have to appreciate your customers. And, this business is kind of everything to me. So, cause I started it, from the ground up, and this is how I pay my bills, and this is how I, afford myself a comfortable life. And, this is how I hope to in many years to come. So,
yeah.
You have to, I wouldn't appreciate, somebody came to my house to give me a quote and they were like, yep, we can do that. And I'll email you the price and I'll talk to you later. And they leave. And, that's, to me, that's not very warm. It's not very welcoming. I try to, at least sit there and talk and, get to know the people, especially when I don't know them. And odds are in this county, we probably have some mutual friends. And,
sure.
I don't, even if I don't get the job, I still want to, make a good impression. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
but,
awesome.
It's definitely different, running a company and being a young girl. I wouldn't say it's necessarily hard. It's just different.
Yeah.
You just have to understand that it's not, this is how people are used to it being a male, and you kind of just have to vouch for yourself and, show them that you can do the work, and eventually, they see it and it's all good. So
do you ever get any, guys like looking over their shoulder or, making little digs or anything like that? Because if I saw you out there, I would high five in a heartbeat. If I saw you at the dealer or at a Site One, I'd be like, I'm like, dude, or go get it, girl, But I'm sure there's still some guys out there like, well, she can't do this or she shouldn't be doing that. And I'll tell you what, the ladies that I see out there, they work hard, and it's not just the ladies are on the weeding crew and the ladies are on the flower crew. I hate that stuff. Like I see girls out there, from Savannah, the trimmer queen, to everybody in between doing lawn care to landscaping. So do you ever feel like you're intimidated, or what's your perspective on being a female in the industry?
No, I mean, like I said, when I first started, definitely, it's definitely scary, but I've gotten a lot more comfortable with it now. I have a really good relationship with a lot of the dealers, like the place where I bought my Skag from. It's actually a family friend of my stepdad. Like, it's a cousin who runs the Skag side, and it's another cousin who runs the Matthew Ferguson side, where I just bought my tractor. And so It's definitely like family run. So, I know people, I know those guys through my stepdad, and they kind of know who I am. So that kind of helps. But they've always been very good to me and always helped, and they never like, oh, you can't do this, or I'll be like, can you show me how to do all this stuff so I can kind of service my own equipment? Can you show me how to do this? And they're super great about it.
Yeah.
Sure, there's plenty of people where, I'm sure they look at me and they're like, oh, she shouldn't be doing this. How is she doing that? How does she get customers? How does she, whatever. And it's really just, I put so much time and effort, and I research on how to, make my SEO on Google higher. And, I put a lot of time into my website, and it might not be the most professional website, but, I still put a lot of time into it and try to, figure it out.
That's
and
awesome.
Like I said, I'm always listening to podcasts and reading stuff and just trying to absorb as much information. I certainly don't know everything.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, are there anybody that you look up to in lawn care, hardscaping? From Savannah, Spencer to Brittany Allman, and then there's other lady out there, great lady from what I understand, Missy Sherber with I don't even know Missy.
I follow them on Instagram.
Yeah,
I follow her on Instagram. She's awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say Brittany talks so much about Missy. I want to get potentially Missy on the show, just to get my fifth female guest on the show, and it's not from an exclusivity. It's just if you're a female out there, shoot me a DM, and this way I can actually say slide into the DMs, but it's not it's different. This way it's actually business. You know what I'm saying? And so, we only get access to so many other ladies in the field that are owners and butt kickers like yourself. So
sure.
Anybody in perspective that you like to watch or listen to that maybe you draw some inspiration from?
Yeah, actually, I stumbled across Missy's Instagram. I think it was off of Brittany Allman shared something on her story, and I started following her. And she's just a badass. So is Brittany. I think her and Caleb have kind of gone with their company is just awesome. They're just killing it, and that's such an inspiration to me. Not outside of people in lawn care, definitely my mom and my stepdad, they're both self-employed, and they've always been super supportive on what I do. And even though he's a commercial fisherman and she's a real estate agent, we're all out there hustling for our own money, and it's super cool to me. So
that's awesome. That's really cool.
But yeah,
there's well, I'll tell you what, where we live, there is a company called Sue's Landscaping. And Sue's Landscaping is one of the largest by us, and they're kicking butt. And there's been ups and downs and lefts and rights, and there's a story with their company. But Sue's Landscaping is a solid outfit, and they're buying 20, 30 plus zero turns per year from our local dealer. So I know
that's awesome.
Yeah, I see they've got their box trucks out there 7 to 7, 6 days a week, and they got girls in the crew, guys in the crew. Every color they're butt kicking company, and best I can tell, female owned business, which is really, really exciting. So if you want to take it to the moon, as the kids say these days, it's wide open out there. One thing I was going to ask you earlier is that you said you have a couple guys working for you. So what's the current crew look like, and what are you guys doing day to day?
Right now it's a lot of mulch jobs. Like I said, I have 3 guys working for me. One guy, he called me a couple weeks ago and said he wanted to come back and kind of work some part-time. He works, he has another job, but he has some time off during the middle of the week. And he's like, I know you're busy. He's worked for me on and off for 3 years. So he knows, how busy it can get. And so I have him, and then I have another boy who was with me last fall and end of the summer. He's in college right now, so he's finishing up his final year of college this spring. And then another boy is actually a senior in high school, and he with all the COVID stuff, they're only going to school like Tuesdays and Thursdays in person.
Sure.
So then he can work like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the weekends. And I'm hopeful to have him for the rest of the year. He's a super good worker, and yeah, I mean it's definitely hard to find workers. I know you probably hear that a lot, but it's just hard to keep keep good help. And I would love to find a couple people that are full time completely, because I end up doing a lot myself. I've been put in a couple of different situations. I had a big contract up in DC. Actually, we had the botanical garden production facility. And it was about a 25-acre facility. And at the end of that year, the boy who was working for me, he had to go back to college, could never find anybody else to work. It just couldn't, I had stuff up on Indeed, on Facebook, trying to just ask anybody in the world I could know. And at that point, even kids were going back to school. So I had to finish out that year by myself. And it was a facility that before we took it over, there was 6 or 7 guys working there all day to cut all the grass.
Wow.
And what he and I were able to do in a day, with 2 mowers, 2 weed eaters, and a blower. I mean, we busted our ass all day, and we were able to get it done. And so then I had to do it myself. So I ended up having to go up there 2 days in a row, but I didn't want to lose it.
Sure.
Because they were happy with us, and I wanted to keep it. And then actually in the next year after that, we got in a bidding war, and I did lose it. But it was a great experience, and I'll be able to bid on it again when it comes back up. But
yeah.
But yeah, so yeah,
freaking awesome. You're literally out there like kicking butt and making it happen, and no excuses. And it's just and here's the thing I'll say too, like so many different females in the industry, or with whether you're married to a contractor, you're involved in the business, not involved in the business. Like my wife, she's involved in the business, but she doesn't physically work in the business. Like we're just a little bit more traditional with what she wanted to do, with what I wanted to do. This wasn't 7 years later we figured this out. This was like on our first date, So, but she's still actively involved, knows what the company's doing, of course. And then you got Savannah Spencer that works in the business with Sean, and then you've got Brittany Almond that works in the field with Caleb when they need to, but now they're more working like an administrative side and selling, and have the crews that go out. So it's cool to see that you can participate at any level as a lady in the industry, or as a spouse or as a wife, so on and so forth. Do you think that the future Mr. is going to be in the industry as well, or what do you think there? Any prospects?
No, but honestly, I would love to just keep it all separate.
Sure.
I just I love running it. I love running my company myself, and it's kind of like I said, it's my pride and joy. So. I just would, I would just love, I would love for whoever my future husband is or whatever, for them to be involved in it. But it'll always be, I think, as the head of it all.
well, here's what we'll say before you as the big brother approach, right? Like before anybody comes over and they start trying to link up with Cameron, we'll run them through the filter for you, right? We'll get their financials checked out, but Bedell can do a little screening. We'll make sure that you get the right guy out there if he wants to. If he's got some little tiny business that isn't working and doing very well, then he's not for you, man. So
right, there you go.
That's funny right there. Well, let me ask you this. We'll kind of button it up right here. This has been a super good time. I was just going to say, open mic. Anything that's on top of your mind that whether you want to pass forward or pay forward to, a pearl of wisdom or opinion or thought that maybe has helped you. Whether it's a younger lady out there that maybe runs her own business or company, or just maybe some of the younger folks out there like 18 to 24 that are just getting started like you are. What's anything that you got on top of your mind that you want to pay forward?
Just honestly, just stay with it. There's going to be definitely things that you learn and you're going to fail, and that's okay. But like I said, I don't look at failing as failing. I look at failing as learning, because it's not a failure if you get back up and you keep going and you just learn from it. That's all it is. It's just a big learning experience. And if you want it that bad, then, you're going to get it. There's literally nothing that can stop you, from getting what you want. I know if you just put your head down and work, that's that's kind of the name of the game. I don't expect anybody to give me any breaks just because I'm a girl.
Right.
Sure. I want to go out there and grind and get, hustle for my work just as anybody else does. I mean, whether it's a huge company that's bidding on, huge complexes, or it's just a $50 yard, I take it, for what it is. And I just keep grinding and hustling.
Earn it for yourself, Yeah,
that's for sure.
Well, I honestly, I'm really thankful to have you on the show. I was telling Liz, my wife, she goes, well, who's your podcast with at 1:00 today? And I said, young lady named Cameron. And she goes, so like, she turns about face. She goes, a lady on the podcast? I said, and I'm like, yeah. I go, I said, we were just DMing back and forth. She had a question or commented on something. And I said, we were just messaging back and forth. And I said, I invited her to be on the show. And Liz goes, that's awesome. She's like, can't wait to hear her story, because Liz listens to the episodes sparingly. But, nights and weekends usually when she's cleaning the house or doing whatever and, just making dinner or whatever. Yeah. But so I was like, yeah, we're going to have another lady on the show. She's like, well, that would be awesome. She goes, we need more ladies on the show. And I said, I know. I'm looking for them, So,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I really appreciate all the content you put out, because like I said, someone not coming, from this industry at all, or really being exposed to it until I kind of just jumped into it.
Yeah.
Having those resources and stuff nowadays is just, it's awesome. And it's priceless. And it's just like, it's great to have that there, and just always, if I have a question, I literally just type it in on YouTube or on Google, or I just kind of find a podcast where you guys might have been talking about it, and I listen to, what other people might have had the same experience or whatever. And it's really cool to have. So I appreciate all the stuff you put out. I know it's a lot of work for you too.
Yeah.
On top of running your own business. So,
well, we appreciate you guys supporting us, and we are always pulling for you guys, guy or girl. We're always pulling for you guys behind the scenes, because it is tough. It's tough out there running your own business, and we're about a week out from at the time of this recording. By now we're already out there, but at the time of this recording, we got about a week, and then our weather is going to break, and we're doing the same thing you guys are doing: cleanups, mulch, and starting to mow grass. So it's absolute treat having you on the show. We'll hopefully maybe be able to keep in touch, and then also maybe try to get you on in touch with Caleb and Brittany Allman. They've got a great podcast, the Kid Contractor podcast. Could be an awesome opportunity to maybe share your story a little bit. And if I ever get Missy Sherber on the podcast, I'll let you know that you're a big fan of hers as well. And it's just so cool, like being able to network and link up. And you never know when you might get like you said, a pearl of wisdom, or a little bit of encouragement, or just being able to interact with some of these folks. Sometimes it's encouraging, and I know it encourages me. So I always listen to your podcast. I'm like, gosh, it'd be so cool to be on that one day. When you asked me, I was like, I couldn't say yes fast enough. Like, that was pretty cool. So, well, thanks.
That's awesome.
Well,
I can't wait to hear it.
Well, let's button it up right here. Where can people find you if they want to keep up with you? Facebook, Instagram, website, whatever. Feel free to plug anything you got really quick, and we'll button it up.
So our website is MarylandRootsLLC.com, and my Instagram name, business name, is at Maryland Roots LLC.
All right, cool deal. Well, shoot a Cameron a DM. Say hey, say what's up. If you're a single guy out there and you shoot her a DM, we're gonna check your financials. So don't say if you're not netting six figures, you can't mess around. So get out of here. So I don't know. That's the big brother approach or the paternal dad, right? So, but we're like,
right there you go.
Like,
future dad over here. There you go.
That's what I'm saying, man. I'm like, get out of here. So I got a whole industry full of testosterone filled 19-year-old kids. You know what I'm saying? So, but. I digress. So, but okay. Well, hey, we really appreciate you being on the show. We'll close it up right here. And guys, appreciate you listening to the show. If you guys are still with us, if you guys haven't left those ratings or reviews, we really appreciate that. We only accept 5 stars on our show. You know what I mean? So if you guys can do that, just look on down. You're gonna change the track anyway. Hit those 5-star reviews and leave a paragraph review. Let us know how we're doing, and maybe just provide some social proof for us to pay it forward for the next person out there. So, guys, that's it. We're going to button up right here. Thanks again for listening to this episode of Fullerton Unfiltered. Let's kick it back over to Marty, Mr. Producer, and we'll catch up with you guys on the next one.
Looking to get new customers, including commercial clients? LawntrepreneurAcademy.com has you covered. Looking to learn the best new strategies for postcard marketing? We've got that covered too. Get instant access to 6 videos showing how to get new residential and commercial customers with yard signs, postcards, social media marketing, Facebook ads, Google My Business listings, and so much more. These 6 videos are designed to help you expand with the best tactics and strategies to secure new customers and grow your business. The How to Get New Customers training program will get your phone to ringing. Hello? Visit LawntrepreneurAcademy.com and pick it up today.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.